Idiot Radio, taking it to the edge and back. Scotty,
I'll take it. Scotty.
All right, so you're listening to Scotty Presents on idiotradio.net. I'm your host, Scott Israel, and my producer is here, Todd DeFazio. And today my special guest is Helen Wildy. Helen, what's up?
How you doing?
I'm good. Helen is a comedian here in Pittsburgh. She's doing the hand gesture, like kind of, sort of. I don't know. I've been seeing you around a lot lately.
Yeah.
What was the most recent? You have like Glitter Box at Brillo Box?
Yeah, I had the Glitter Box is in, what part of town is that in? It's sort of like Shady Side? No, it's East Liberty, I think.
Is Glitter Box a different venue than Brillo Box? It is.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's this little space that's, I'm not sure what else it's used for, but it's like a really cool room that's like got a stage, and it's just like a really neat space. There's like a bar, but they don't sell alcohol, I don't think.
It's like a juice bar?
It's like an artsy space.
But what do they sell at the bar?
I think I think they don't sell anything at the bar. You can just like
it's a bar that you can hang.
Show.
Oh, all right.
So I'm not sure.
No, that's
I think
pretty
you can
cool.
just like rent it out and do meetings or shows or whatever. Yeah, it was a cool spot.
I don't know. Who put that show together?
Jason Plazier.
Okay, I don't know.
He was
him.
from Brooklyn. He's from Pittsburgh originally.
All
Sorry
right.
if I said your last name wrong, Jason. But he reached out and asked if I would do it, and I said absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was cool.
How do you know Jason?
I met him on Sunday. He reached out to me.
No kidding.
Via the internet. We are 1 minute in.
Well, no, I realized that I looked at it, and you have military time on your cell phone,
that's
as
right.
I left mine in the car, which is parked like a quarter mile away, because we walked here from, oh my God, in the rain. Well, it's not bad. It's like a drizzle. It's not bad. But to give context to like the three people that are listening.
Hello.
Thank you, Mom.
My mom, too. Hi, Mom. My mom's not listening.
No, neither is mine. Well, I mean, I don't think so.
Yeah.
But, okay, so they just closed up, they just, like, boarded up Brookline Pub. They do that today, Todd, or yesterday, or just today? Wait, they had no notice. Todd saw them on Saturday. They didn't say a word to him about this. I don't know what was going on. So where are we at today? We're at the Lounge? Boulevard Lounge in Brookline.
Lounge.
So we walked in. I don't know. It was a couple city blocks, 3 or 4.
Not too bad.
Yeah, and then we walked in the drizzle.
You out front, and I just was like, I walked past it. Like, did you see me sitting in your car, Todd? I walked past it like 7 times, and I was thinking, like, it says it's right here, but it was like boarded up, and there were no signs.
Yeah.
So I was like, man. And I asked a child, and he was like, it's right there. I was like, tight.
Almost. It's a little sad that the child knows about the pub.
Yeah.
It's like, that's where the grown-ups usually scream at me from.
I was like, hey, I hate to ask, but do you know what Brookline Pub is? Desperate times. Child, desperate times.
He was the right kid to ask, for sure.
He was like, oh yeah, the pub's right here, and then I was like, oh, it's closed.
So why do you have military time on your phone?
I like to travel internationally, and pretty much every other country uses it, and I struggled hard to know what time it was when I was abroad, and I thought the easiest way to make myself learn it was to just have it on my cell phone.
All right. That's actually a really good reason. I thought you were just silly.
Yeah, I'm actually in the Air Force.
You're in the Air Force?
No, I'm not.
Oh.
No, but that would be a better reason to have it.
I guess traveling a lot works, too. Where was the last place you traveled to?
Mexico. I went to Mexico
All right.
in March, I think. But I started this year. I went on a mystery trip.
Really? What is a mystery trip? They don't tell you where you're going?
Yeah, my best friend planned it, and she didn't tell us where we were going in the world.
How do you feel about that? I don't know if I can handle that. Do you speak Spanish?
I do speak Spanish.
Okay.
But we went to the Ukraine, Armenia, and Georgia.
Whoa, who's paying for this?
There was like a budget, and we all... So she there were two people who went, or two of her
Okay.
friends. She planned it, and then I showed up and surprised them on New Year's Eve. I was part of the mystery. I surprised them in Kyiv in the Ukraine.
Yeah, how is Kiev in America in New Year's?
It's beautiful, yeah. They do
Yeah.
a really beautiful celebration, actually. We stayed with these three sisters who were wonderful,
Yeah.
and they do really cool. They make a list of everything that they want to celebrate from that year and everything they want to burn, and then you go through and
they burn stuff.
they burn the list. Like, you make a list of all, like, your regrets from the year, essentially, and then you burn
get
that
it.
list
Yeah.
together. Everyone, like, throws them in a bowl and you burn them. And
Right
then
on.
they make this big feast that starts at, like, 10 p.m., and you sit around a house with, like, wine and food, and everyone goes around and, like, says something on the list that they want to celebrate, and then you cheers it every time, and then the next person goes, and then you hear about one of the
That
things they wrote
sounds
about
like a
their
lot
list.
of fun.
Yeah, it was great.
What kind of food do they have?
They have, it was a lot of meat.
Yeah.
I'm a vegetarian.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
dumplings, a lot of dumplings that were really delicious.
right on. I like dumplings.
Yeah.
Yeah,
really
sounds
good.
great.
Yeah, it was cool.
That's super adventurous. Like, my adventures is like I come to Pittsburgh and do stand up as often as I can.
I don't know, Brookline's pretty adventurous. I don't get into the South Hills very often. If I'm honest, I feel like I'm traveling now. So
What kind of reputation does South Hills have? Good or
just
bad or
great, just through a tunnel.
Oh, all right.
I grew up in the North Hills, so it's just like,
Oh.
people from the North Hills and the South Hills, like, they just don't go to the other one.
Oh, I have no
Oh,
idea.
no.
I'm like I did not grow up in Pittsburgh
Oh, where?
at all. Like
are you from?
Bridgewater, New Jersey, and then Latrobe, Pennsylvania, which
Yeah.
is the real place that Mr. Rogers is from, and
Oh,
Arnold
we commandeered
Palmer.
that.
Yeah, you guys stole him from us.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get him back. I think I yelled at Garrett Teitelbaum a couple weeks ago about we were talking about the movie, and I was like, he's not yours. He's
he's
ours.
from Latrobe.
He is from Latrobe, Pennsylvania.
How far is Latrobe?
Is about 15 miles, about 45-minute drive.
Oh, wow.
Without traffic, it's 45 minutes.
Wow.
It can get up to like an hour and a half, depending
wow.
on traffic. But
In what direction?
East, west, east. It's east.
East.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Is it though?
Yeah. What part of Pittsburgh do you live in now? Or
Oh, I live.
live in
I live out in the Latrobe area.
Oh, so this is an adventure for you.
Yeah, like every time I come out here, I come out to Pittsburgh literally every day of the week,
Yeah,
except
you're
for
here
maybe.
all the time. I
Yeah,
always do. I just assumed
yeah.
you lived here.
No, I have a Prius.
Okay.
That's what I tell people. It's just like, yes, it's time consuming, and I yell a lot to like strangers at strangers in cars.
Yeah.
Because after a while, everybody's just got a breaking point.
Yeah.
But
You're traveling responsibly, though. If
Yeah.
you're going to drive from Latrobe to
Yeah,
Pittsburgh every
yeah.
day, get a
Well,
Prius.
yeah. Good better for the
Yeah.
environment maybe, and gas
Yeah.
money is it's
Ah.
better.
Why do you come in every day? What's happening?
Well,
Tell me about your life, Scott.
All right, yeah. All right, I like
to
this.
know each
Let's
other.
just talk
Yeah.
about me. I cook at Ham Bones because they needed to cook.
That's right. And then you do yoga on Saturdays.
At Ham Bones, yes, I do.
Promotion.
Thank you. And I do yoga at Sundays at Satya Yoga in Greensburg.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm trying to build two solid classes, and it's really hard because it just is it's not for everybody, or it is and they just don't have time, or
Yeah.
a lot of people like to make up excuses when things are hard.
Yeah.
I know
and I do.
Yeah, and yoga's difficult.
First time I
But-
had this on, for the first month I had this on military time, I was like, I'm never traveling again. It's not worth learning. Yeah.
All
No,
right.
things are hard.
Yeah.
How did you get into yoga?
Out in Phoenix. I went there from New York ostensibly to study motorcycle mechanics, which I did.
Cool.
But I had just a bicycle, like a pedal bike,
Yeah.
and I got hit by a car on my bike,
Oh, man.
and it messed up my back, and I went to a chiropractor to straighten it out, but the chiropractor wanted me to go there like 3 days a week for the rest of my life. And the yogis, and he went like $30 a visit, and the yogis were like $9 a visit.
Ooh.
So I was like, I'm just gonna do that.
Yeah.
Then,
Wow.
then
How
I
many years
became
have you
a
been doing
teacher.
it?
Since 2008, so about a decade.
That's very impressive.
Yeah, maybe late 2007. I think it was right. It was. I got there like a couple months before. Like I remember, I mailed in my vote for Obama. Obama.
Obama. I've heard it both
Obama.
ways. Obama. Yeah. We haven't gotten clarity on what the pronunciation is yet.
It's
Haven't heard-
only
I've
been
never-
like
No.
a decade or something.
Or so.
All right, so where's somewhere else that you've traveled, and how did you travel? Is it always surprises? Do you guys have like a roulette wheel of places?
It always surprises.
Because
No,
that would drive me crazy. It would drive me crazy if somebody was like, "We're just gonna take you to another country and not tell you which one," and I would be like, I really don't think that's gonna happen.
yeah, it really has to be someone you trust very much.
And someone you know knows you and likes you.
Yeah.
Like, what if it's somebody who knows you and secretly hates you, and they're like, "We'll meet you in like some desolate, horrible place," and you end up there by yourself? You know?
Yeah, that could go really badly.
Right?
But I went with my best friend, and she travels a lot. She was in the Peace Corps. She's
Right on.
traveled a lot. She's been to like 58 countries, I would guess. I
Wow.
don't know. And
Wow.
so she knows places well. And so she wanted, and there were a couple other people going who were really well traveled as well. So
Yeah.
she wanted to be somewhere that none of us had been.
Yeah.
And then there was a budget, and then it was like you don't want to spend too much time getting there. So it was like Eastern Europe was fine it was 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then I just went for 1 week, and it was. Yeah, it was really, that was the first time I'd ever done anything like that. And she went to Peru last year, and she was sitting next to people on the plane who were wearing shirts that said, "I don't know where I'm going."
Oh, wow.
They were doing it, so that's
It's
where
a
we heard about
thing.
this idea.
Oh, my
and
God.
so then she was like, I should plan that for my friends, and then
Yeah.
she did. And so we had hats that said, "I don't know where I'm going," and like we would like put music in our ears in the airport and just like look down so we
Wow.
couldn't. Yeah, and then like you'd be on a plane, and like we got off a plane, and she was like, "All right," and then we guessed where we were because we just didn't know, and it was Armenia.
Really?
Like, who goes to Armenia? We did.
Oh,
it was
wow.
beautiful. Recommend it. It was really cool. But no, that was the first time I've ever done that. I went to Thailand last year
Yeah. Wow.
and Nicaragua the year before
Where's Nicaragua?
in Central America.
All right.
Yeah.
Right on.
So just, trying
That's
to see places I've
crazy.
never been.
That's great.
Yeah.
No, I'm jealous. It's very adventurous. I think
you.
Phoenix and New York are the most adventurous places. But I don't travel for like a week and come back. I go for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how
You
I do
move.
it. I move there. It's the only. I'm very poor, and I've always been very poor. So what happens is I'm just like, well, I'll just go to somewhere else and be poor there.
Yeah.
And figure out what it's like.
Yeah.
And
I'll
that's,
just
that's
get a
what I
one-way
do.
ticket.
Yeah.
And then work it up.
Yeah, like a one-way ticket, or like just buy a junk car that you think might make it most of the
Yeah.
way there, and then like
Wherever so that's like your roulette.
Yeah,
Wherever the
you-
car
Well,
is.
wherever you pay $300 for a car and it
Yeah.
takes you halfway across the country, and then you hop on a Greyhound. It's like, it worked out.
See, you're very adventurous.
Within bounds, though. Your bounds are the whole Earth. My bounds are
Bounds are
America,
the
North
whole
America
Earth.
specifically.
The
Like I
United
went to
States of-
Canada a couple of times when I was in college.
That's cool. Where'd you go to college?
It's okay. In New York, like upstate New York, Alfred. Nobody ever heard of it.
No.
It's a little tiny school. I think my graduating class was about the same size as my high school graduating class, about 300.
It's just Alfred.
Alfred University.
Just
Well, there's
Alfred.
two of them. They're
Mr.
across
Wayne.
the street from each other. There's Alfred College, which is a state school, and then Alfred University, which is a private school. And then we would meet on Main Street, which is the only street in town that had a stoplight.
Yeah.
It's a super small town,
Wow.
like in the middle of the mountains in West New York.
I bet there's a
And,
lot of mail confusion, like post from the U.S. Post Office between
Never, not once. No, I
From
always got
Alfred
my. I
College
always got
and Alfred
my,
University,
I always
right
got.
across
I always
from
got
each other.
the right mail. I don't think I ever
Interesting.
missed a letter.
Never missed a
I mean,
letter.
nobody was mailing me letters
Yeah.
except for the school, so I mean that's all
And
internal.
so they knew, yeah.
Yeah,
They
I
knew
mean,
what you had.
yeah, they knew where I was. They were like, "You better get your grades up, buddy, and quit smoking in your dorm room." And I was just like, "I mean, I'll do the first one,
Yeah,
but not the second one."
Yeah.
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 Only my grades are relevant to you,
Yeah,
Alfred.
yeah. I want to
so
do whatever I like. I was an adult. I was adventurous as
Yeah.
a teenager, so whatever. But where in Mexico did you end up?
I went to Cancun.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
went to a resort. My first time at a resort.
Did you get your hair braided?
No,
Really?
no.
Because I went to school in New Jersey with a bunch of what are they called? Rich kids, but affluent kids?
Rich kids.
No,
Yeah.
seriously,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you have a Porsche at 17,
Yeah.
your daddy's
That's
rich,
crazy.
or your mommy's rich. Like something's going
Yeah,
on.
someone's rich,
Yeah,
and it's not
somebody's
you,
rich.
kid.
Yeah, no, I
It
took
ain't you, kid.
I got a one-speed bicycle for my 17th birthday, which is when you start driving in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Well, that's
so
all right.
funny. I got I have 3 older brothers, and the eldest of them very generously gave me his like beat up car when he was done
Aw.
with it. So I had that
That's
when
nice.
I was 17 or 18. Thank you, Martin. Never forget how nice that was.
It really is good to have a car. Like, it's easy to, not appreciate it after and you're just stuck in traffic all the time and it
Yeah.
costs a lot of money, but it is really good to have a car.
Yeah, no, I every time I get in my car, I like like it's as if I have just passed my driver's test. I like look around and I can't believe there's no one else in the car, and then I like get to drive it by myself. It's like I'm like, this is the best. 'Cause I remember how excited I was that day, and I try to hold on to that feeling, like 17 years later or whatever.
Oh, it's great. I had a great question in my head while you were talking, but I was listening and it went out.
That's fair. I have a question for you. Do you want
Love it.
What did you study at Alfred? The bicycle?
Oh,
thing?
no, literature. I studied English
that's right.
literature. I studied like Shakespeare and Milton, and I had a really hard time with Shakespeare. Just what?
Yeah, why?
What?
Why?
Just what is he saying? What is he saying, man?
Yeah,
Something
I never
about
know.
an elbow? There was a joke about an elbow that all the other kids laughed at. I felt like a dick. And it's like 15...
Felt like a
yeah,
dick.
like 15 kids in a class, so like everybody's... You got to answer something.
Yeah.
But,
That's horrible. I
yeah,
went
I
to
did
trivia
alright,
last
though.
night, and there was an art and literature round, and boy, did I feel like the biggest. I was like, have I never read a book?
Wow.
I honestly, there were some questions that should have been, just slow pitches.
Do you remember any of them?
No.
Okay, good.
No, I definitely don't. I remember we got the one that was, about
The
Moby
really
Dick.
easy one? About
Yeah.
Moby Dick, yeah.
Yeah, and then, but that was, it was not our best round, I will say. I was just like, I should Google literature. I'm out of my depth.
So, you work a lot at, I see you all the time at Brillo Box. That's one of your
Yeah,
one
I
of
go
your
there
digs.
sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. I was there last month, not this month.
All right.
Yeah.
How was it? Was it good?
It was great. One of my best friends, Katie Barbaro, was in from New York City, and she was staying with us. And she, Gab let her, co-headline it with me.
Yeah. Oh, that's
so that
great.
was cool. Yeah. But, yeah, so nice.
That's cool.
Yeah, and now she's traveling the world. She, sold all of her things, and
Really?
my friend Katie has sold everything she has and is traveling the world for a year.
Wow.
I know.
That's, to say it's super brave sounds like I'm putting it down a little bit, but, I think about doing it myself, and I don't
Yeah.
have a lot of ties. And it would be that's still kind of scary.
It's so scary.
It's so scary.
No, Katie, don't be scared. It's not scary.
How many
If you're
languages
listening.
does she speak?
Just English, yeah.
How? I mean, you could to the English-speaking countries, and I hear the Dutch
Mm-hmm.
are super into speaking English, but everybody else is going to be a tough time.
Yeah, I mean, you can figure out what I learned from being in Georgia, where I didn't know any of the language. Is that
Georgia the country or
yeah,
Georgia the state?
Georgia the country, both.
Wow.
Both. I don't speak the language. No, Georgia the country. I try to learn hello and thank you
Yeah.
when I'm there, but
Yeah.
yeah, I've been.
So what do you do?
It's a lot of charades.
Really?
Yeah, it's a
well,
lot
you
of.
do talk. I noticed you talk with your hands a
Wow.
lot. Yeah, and it's not a
That's-
bad
yeah.
thing.
That's because most
Yeah.
of the time I'm like, people don't understand what I'm saying. Not most of it, but yeah. So it's a lot of just you'd be like this, hold something up, and what is this?
It sounds super frustrating.
It is, but
It is?
it's really. But then you come back and you're something as simple as language. You're lose my luggage. It doesn't matter. I can tell you that I lost it.
Yeah.
It makes you just appreciate.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a roommate in college, my buddy Ermin.
Cool name, Ermin.
Yeah, right. And he was Turkish, and we ended up being real close friends for the whole 4 years. But he was my roommate, and that's how we met. And there was orientation, and he had just flown there to Alfred that day.
Wow, how did he pick Alfred
Yeah,
from
I
Turkey?
asked him. It's a whole thing, and it's weird.
Yeah, I asked him. I believe
Yeah.
you did.
Yeah, I know. I definitely asked. And it was something about he didn't have sweat glands and he couldn't be someplace hot. And he wanted to come to America, and it just ended up being Alfred. He had well, I don't want to say he had a shitty guidance counselor, but I mean, I got into Alfred, so how great a school could it be?
Oh my god, that's so funny. They must have really like advertised the moderate climate on the brochure.
Yeah,
He was
or
like, you know
something.
What? I'm going to
It
Alfred.
wasn't moderate. It was extremely cold the whole time we were
okay.
in school.
Okay.
Like, it started snowing in late September.
Wow.
And maybe it was starting to thaw by April.
Dang.
Yeah, it's rough.
Whew.
Yeah, that's where I had to go to get a college education. So, anyway, I woke Ermin up because he was sleeping after he got in, and he just started speaking Turkish to me. I don't know Turkish. So I tell him, English, man, English, and he just kept speaking Turkish. So, I mean, I get what you're saying about the language thing.
Yeah, you just have to work it out.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm a jerk. I just said everything slower and louder.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Is it?
I mean,
is it
slower is definitely
slower?
helpful. Yeah.
Hoping that they know a little English?
Well, it's like you get, like, eventually there's a moment where you'll be like, you understand each other and you're so excited, and then you're like, oh no, we've only asked like one very basic, we still know nothing about like this transaction. It has about like 20 more lines in it, and we don't know that, and that took 12 minutes to get, it can be frustrating, yeah.
But you just power through it and figure it out. That's one of like the big hang-ups I have about international travel, other than the expenses. Like, who would I talk to? Do I have to stay? Like, I'm not into like England. I mean, London maybe, but I don't know.
A lot of traveling, like once you get somewhere, it depends like what you want to do. But like getting there is usually the expensive part, and then you can do it really cheaply. Yeah. Like in Nicaragua, we rented a car and then like used it as our hotel and slept in it the whole time.
See, and I just get worried that I'd be kidnapped and sold into something. Yeah.
That is, I mean, it's good to have your wits about you and to not. I mean, keep an eye out.
Wow.
But there are cheap ways. Where would you go? What's like your dream destination?
I don't really have one. No, I don't care.
No.
This Pennsylvania is as dream destination for me as anything. I lived in Phoenix for a couple of years, and everything is beige, and then the sky is blue all the time.
Okay.
So it's just solid blue and beige. And after a couple of years, it's like, I'd do anything to see a fucking cloud.
Yeah, you're like,
that'd
enough
be
of that.
great. Yeah, I had it. I came back to where I know it's green. I know for a fact it is
there'll be
green.
Clouds in Pittsburgh.
There will be clouds.
There will be clouds,
yes.
damn it.
I mean, and the ground in Pennsylvania is so fertile. If you leave a brick in your yard, the earth will swallow it up. It's good.
Definitely.
Yeah. That's where I want to be.
Yeah.
Where if I stay still too long, the earth will swallow me up.
Yeah, keeps you moving. Keeps you fit. Good. Oh.
But in your stand-up act that I've seen you around a good couple places. Yeah. I saw you at Brillo Box. I've seen you at Hambones. Mm-hmm. I think I saw you at Papa D's a couple of times. Yeah. And probably a couple other places I haven't thought of. And you have a solid. You draw from your connection to Ireland.
Yeah.
All right.
I do.
So, let's talk about that.
Yeah, so I was born in Ireland.
Yeah.
And then we moved to the States when I was a little kid. I was 6.5 years old.
Yeah.
And so, most of my stand-up, I just try to talk about my life experiences.
Yeah.
Mostly, about being an immigrant, about being gay, about whatever's going on with me. Yeah.
That's super interesting. And it's funny to hear you say you're an immigrant, because you're a white lady. You're a blonde white lady.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people just don't think that way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You always think dark and south.
Immigrants come in all shapes and sizes.
It's crazy. You said you were 6.
6.5, yeah.
And you didn't retain their accent?
No, I use it when I speak to my parents and stuff. It comes out, but not really. Yeah.
What does it sound like? Let's hear some.
Sounds a wee bit like that, It's just a wee bit more like sort of back of the throat of an accent, I don't know. What up, Todd?
Do you speak Gaelic or Gaelic? Or?
No, I don't.
No?
I don't at all. My dad speaks a little bit of it, but I know nothing of it. It's a very complicated language.
Is it?
And as you know, people don't like to do things that are hard.
Yeah, no, people don't like to do things that are hard.
So I was like, no, none of these letters look like they sound. I'm going to go
but I mean,
Spanish.
Stand-up's hard. You do stand-up.
Stand-up's really hard. How did you get into doing stand-up?
I'm a novelist. I've written 3 novels, mostly under the fake name Baker Caulfield.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm probably going to switch everything over to my actual name at some point. But Mark Twain promoted his writing through doing comedy.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so that's where, but I mean, I can't think of any way to make it funny, so it's not in my stand-up. I'm not sure how to. I've never been good at crossing the bridge between creation and actually selling the stupid things, you know?
Yeah. Like the commercialized.
Yeah,
part of it.
I don't know about
Making
it.
it
I
a
don't know
commodity.
about
Yeah,
that.
I don't know about that.
Making money? Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From
it's
art?
Like, yeah, I'm bad at that.
What are your novels about?
They're always really place specific. Let's see, Manhattan Underground's about New York. It's about a kid who moves from New York from a small town in Pennsylvania. Gets a job at a company who's in a building that gets destroyed, and then he has to go work at a bookstore. And
Cool.
that sucks, so he ends up selling selling opiates for a Turkish cartel, and eventually
Is that a shout out to Ermin?
and Suleiman, and a couple other Turks that I met in college. And we never did opiates. Never. It was.
No.
I just used them as characters.
Yeah. That's slander.
Yeah. Let's get that real straight.
Real events.
Yeah, no, definitely
it's fiction.
not.
It's a
Yeah,
fiction
for
novel.
sure. Like I have an imagination. That's about the best thing about me.
Yeah.
And then that's the basic story.
That's cool.
Yeah.
How? I can't believe you don't talk about that you've written books all the time.
I don't know how to make it funny. Like I take it super seriously. So to try to get a room of people, if I didn't get them to laugh at it, I would feel bad. If I did get them to laugh at it, I would feel bad.
Right.
Like there's no winning there that I can even imagine.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. You should just like name drop it at the end,
Yeah.
or like have a thing that's like, hey, by the way, I got a book. I don't know how to do it either,
right?
obviously.
Right? Like I don't know.
That's so cool. But I mean, even like in life, that's so like, how did you? Like writing a book is really hard.
Yeah.
I've heard.
Yeah.
Never tried it.
I finished 3 of them. No, I wanted to. I wanted to be a bigger reader than I was in high school. And I blamed that I just wasn't interested in a lot of books. Like I like Fahrenheit 351 and 1984 and Catch-22. If it's got a number in the title, I like it. Apparently. Slaughterhouse 5. Yeah, they have to have a number in the title. Then I like it, which is weird because I don't like numbers.
That's so funny.
But I just really wanted to write a story that I wanted to read. Like I loved Hemingway, but he's only got like 3 that I actually like. You know, which is and it's really just The Sun Also Rises. I just like a good party.
Yeah. Wow. Did you go to study literature with like the intention of you were going to be an author?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
Like
all coming together, Scott.
No.
Solving the enigma that is Scott.
I'm a weirdo. I went
amazing.
in and I started studying Western literature, hoping that would give me the ideas for like plot and story structure and just like a creative seed that I could grow.
Yeah.
And then like studying philosophy is really hard.
Yeah.
And it wasn't helping my writing. So, and I went to psychology, and psychology is really boring, and it wasn't helping my writing. So I was like, why am I tiptoeing? Like, just study literature and deal with it. And that was probably the biggest mistake of my life.
I don't know. You've written 3 books. That's really cool. I'm gonna read them all.
Okay.
And I don't read, but
Yeah.
for you, I'm like, I know this author.
I make them really like they're written to be read easily.
Great. That'll be helpful to me.
Yeah.
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 That's okay. It's just like not something I would love to be more of a reader. And if you have tips on how to get into it, I just.
Oh no, it's really a lot. Like, have you ever like just worked out a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've gone through spurts of that.
Yeah. All right. Most
Just like
people
you make
have at some
yourself do
point.
it, yeah.
Yeah. You make yourself do it, and then it becomes easier because you're stronger. And
Yeah.
it's like there's a reading muscle in your brain that the more you do it, the easier it gets because you made it stronger.
Yeah.
Like I don't think there really is such a thing,
Right.
but that's the experience that I've had.
Yeah. To me, it's just like I would never like when I have free time. I'm never like, you know what I should do with this free time? It's like it was
Read.
so down on the list
Yeah.
of activities I
Yeah.
would use to fill my free time that I'm like, but I should move it up. I'm gonna New Year's resolution right now, right here.
Cheers! I hope that you
Yeah, this podcast has changed me already.
do. Positively.
Yeah,
At that.
definitely, very impressive.
Oh.
So, how long have you been doing stand-up? You personally?
2 years this month.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you? How long?
I'm about the same. I was
Really?
2 years in July, I think.
You're doing really well.
Well,
I
I
really
had-
thought you were doing it for a little bit. Why did you start doing stand-up?
The first time I've been doing it for like 2 years, like more regularly. But like
Yeah.
I started, the first time I did it was in 2012. I did
Yeah.
like an open mic at the Beer Hive, and then
Oh my God, the beer hive, an open mic at the
Yeah.
beer hive. Was it downstairs?
yeah.
Yeah,
It was
I
that
did it.
good.
I did. I have a similar timeline.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was like when Aaron was hosting it.
Yeah, yeah,
cool.
yeah.
And so yeah, I did that, and then I was so it was so scary, and I just like didn't do. I would do it like every 6 months. I would like, do an open
Oh.
mic type of thing,
Yeah.
and then it would just be so scary. Like the thought of doing it again was so scary.
Really?
And then eventually,
Because you're so relaxed up there, and it comes so naturally to
well,
you.
thank you.
think
It
so.
feels more relaxed now, but like every time before I go up, I feel very nervous. It's like
Yeah.
all the time. Yeah. So yeah, and I started doing improv. Like 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, that's pretty common with the stand-uppers, and I think it helps. Like I want to get into it, it just hasn't happened yet. Where
Yeah.
did you Arcade?
I went to
Steel City?
arcade, yeah, and I started doing it there, and then sort of got back into it. It was just so fun to have more comedy and like joy.
Yeah.
That I just was like, oh, and then I met a lot of people who were doing stand-up, and I started doing it again, like going to mics, and then
Does it make it less scary for you to get up on stage as a stand-up because you've done the improv?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
sure.
think so. Just like the few times I've hosted it, I feel like it's helped with that
Yeah,
sort of a thing. Just
off the cuff sort
Yeah.
of stuff.
because I'm very written in my stand-up.
Are you?
Yeah.
You keep to
Yeah, and I would like to not be like I would like to venture out more.
right on.
Yeah,
Yeah, do it.
yeah. Because I'm doing
What?
like I don't do a lot of like crowd work and stuff. Do you?
No, I mean I have the way I don't do crowd work like some people do, where like they make it a main component.
Yeah.
I just kind of pick on people in the middle of my sets.
Fun.
Yeah, I mean I'm a jerk, but it plays well in stand-up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
Have you ever done Hurry Up and Say Something Funny? That show?
No, that's like a real show, right? Like
Yeah, it's
people nobody invites me on shows.
It's
That's why I started this thing.
it's like it's sort of like a heckler show. It's not a heckler show, but
yeah. I've heard of it.
yeah. I've never done it. I'm doing it for the first time.
Are you?
And I'm like
When are you doing it?
terrified later this month.
Well, when?
I think it's the 18th. I'm not sure.
And where do they have it?
Apis Mead and Winery?
Okay,
I think.
that sounds close.
Google it. Yeah, and I'm terrified because like it's just mostly
Oh.
crowd work and stuff.
Well,
which
just drink some dark whiskey and be mean. Like that's
be mean.
That's it.
I'm not like. I'm
no,
not
I
good at
know
being
you're
mean.
a sweet person, and I love hanging out with you.
I know,
but
but-
like,
but
just no. Every
whiskey Helen's
every
really
dude
comes-
has a hidden asshole. Every woman has a hidden horrible monster too.
Yeah.
So just encourage the monster and bring it.
Okay.
You know? I mean, I don't know. What do I know?
Yeah, I'm
You
gonna
know?
try it. I'm gonna just try to be mean. I was on a roast one time, and I was just like, I like your shirt, and I think you're
Really?
a nice person. Wasn't good at it.
No,
At
that's
all.
not. Yeah. Oh, I could see that.
Yeah, I was not roasting.
Well, I mean, I think you can still make it as a comedian without having the interplay with the audience, or
Yeah.
maybe you'll find a way a thing that suits you. Like being mean
Yeah.
comes naturally to me.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What a gift. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think,
oh, yeah.
I think I'm gonna have
It's
to
done
come
me a
at
lot
it
of good.
differently, just to be,
Yeah, yeah.
true to who I am on stage.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so I'm interested. It'll be like I think it'll make me a better comedian.
Yeah.
Just like to do things that I'm not good at, like like working on my weaknesses, like reading.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'll be
Well,
a
I
lot
think
like reading.
I think reading would be super helpful to anybody for just make your brain work better.
Yeah.
Everybody read more.
Yeah.
But it's so easy to get around it. They've
This
turned
podcast brought to you
everything
by
into
reading.
exactly. They've turned everything into a video or an audio.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, it's super easy to get around reading. I think it's part of his secret agenda to make us all illiterate.
Oh,
So-
conspiracy theory.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I believe all of them.
That's awesome.
If you can come up with a conspiracy theory, I believe it.
That's amazing.
Is it?
Yeah.
And
I
why?
love conspiracy theories.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
We should hang out sometime and just compare conspiracy
Yeah.
theories.
Let's do it.
I do that with Eric Williams.
Oh, cool. He's lovely.
We work together, but he's leaving to do some sort of office gig, which
Uh-huh.
yeah, it's
Like
gonna
out
be
of
soul
town?
crushing. No, it's in Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it's up at the airport.
Oh. Well, congrats, Eric.
I guess.
Yeah.
I feel bad for everybody who works in an office. Do you work in an office?
I work in an office, yeah. I do. I work in an office. It's not a bad life. It's not a bad life.
I could see you at a desk in a cubicle with a sweater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people do Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
See me bundled up in a cubicle in a sweater.
I could totally see that.
Yeah.
You could be in like one of those comedies where they're all comedians, but it's like a slow, thoughtful, contemplative movie, but it's still funny. Like
that's nice. That's a nice thing to say.
Is it?
I think so.
I don't know if it's nice,
I don't know,
but I think it's accurate.
Is that why I'm so happy? I just take everything as a compliment.
Well, I mean, it's a great attitude. Yeah, and the last thing I want to do is insult you, though.
No.
I mean, eventually it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
I'm
that's what I'm here for.
Right.
The,
oh, no.
John Dick Winters one time told me, I think it was him, that I'm always...
he's mean.
I don't think
he's
mean.
good at being mean.
He told me one time, and I thought it was so funny, that I'm always dressed like office casual.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like,
yeah.
that's true.
Yeah.
Because often, like, when I go to stand-up, I've come right from my office job. I was like, I'm always ready for, like, an office party at any minute.
Yeah.
Sort of the vibe I have.
Yeah.
I was like, that's true.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Good insight.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Al, I saw you were doing something at Club Cafe recently.
Yeah, I did a show Chrissy Costa put on. It was all females. That was cool. It's called Broad Squad.
Right on.
It was really neat. And then I'll be there. James Phelps is putting on a show on the 26th.
Yeah.
So I'll be there again. That's exciting.
Hey, I like Club Cafe. It's got a good atmosphere.
Yeah, it's really cool. I think I've done stand-up 3 times there now. Big 3 times.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, and it's a really cool venue for it.
Yeah.
Where's your favorite place to perform or go up?
Ham bones.
Yeah.
Easy. Yeah.
Ham bones are the best.
It's just I don't know. I've got a good success rate. I also I like all of them.
Yeah.
Parkway is really good because it challenges me to the 10-minute set.
Yeah.
Which I like, and I usually goes well, but I don't go there often.
Yeah.
Ham bones I try to make every week.
Yeah.
What about you? You got a favorite?
I really like Papa D's.
Papa D's is great.
I
I
really
like the
Papa D's.
pizza.
I mean, Ham bones,
I like
obviously.
the setup. I like Harry Gilliland.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I work Tuesday nights though. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ham bones though. I'm so excited about the Burning Bridges Comedy Club.
Yeah, me too.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's like we have kind of sort of a real comedy club in Pittsburgh.
I know, it's so
other
exciting.
than the Improv.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it is
so cool. Were you
exciting.
at the opening?
No, they reopened the Improv.
No, the
Oh no, I
Burning
wanted to
Man.
go. I was sick all weekend,
Oh,
which is why I'm
no.
on antibiotics.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
just laid up in bed.
Oh no.
But I've been told I can't get anybody else sick because I'm on the antibiotics, or I would not be here if
Well,
I thought
thank
I was
you.
getting you
That's
sick.
very nice.
Yeah, I mean Todd, I don't care. I get him sick.
Todd's a risk taker, I can tell.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I was out of town this weekend, so I couldn't go to it, but I heard it was great. And Sam Talent was amazing, and
Yeah. That's I read about it on Facebook. I really did want to be there
Yeah, me
because
too.
it's kind of a big deal for our little scene out here in
it's such a
Pittsburgh.
big deal. It's so cool.
Yeah, but we do have a bunch of good venues.
Thriving. Pittsburgh is thriving, I would say. The comedy scene.
I've heard that we're like catching up with Cleveland.
I just heard that Cleveland has a really good comedy scene.
Oh yeah. Like
I
intense.
didn't know that. Have you been or done stand up there?
No, I talked to comedians who have gone.
Yeah.
The last 2 years, which are the 2 years I've been doing stand up, have not afforded a lot of travel and stuff.
That's fair.
It's just been like work and sickness and depression. Like maybe life will get better. Maybe I'll die tomorrow. Either way, I'll be happy about it.
Either way, I'll be happy about it.
Yeah, I will.
You know,
I know.
This happens every time I bring up Cleveland. People talk about dying. I don't know. Something about
it's
Pittsburgh.
It's a showstopper.
It's a real. Promised myself I wouldn't. But.
So, do you still go back to Ireland every once in a while?
I do. I'm going next month for my cousin's wedding.
That's awesome.
Yeah, all of my family is still there. My parents, my mom's one of 8 and my dad's one of 6, and they each have a sister in England, and then everyone else is still in Ireland. So, like, all my cousins are there, all my aunts and uncles are there.
That's cool.
Grandparents, when they were alive, were there.
Wow.
They're dead now, but they were there. So
do you go back every year for like family reunion or something, or?
I've I try to go every year, every other year. Like
Yeah.
growing up, I would go every couple of years,
Yeah.
or every year. It depends on the year, obviously. I'm one of 4 kids, so we would sort of like, they would go in rotation, sort
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
So every few years I would go, and then
That's cool.
yeah, I went in 2015 and 16, not last year, and I'm going this year. So I try to go. Lately, it's been like for weddings and funerals, though, which
Yeah.
is like,
Weddings are good, funerals are bad.
Yeah, you know.
I do like the food at funerals.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's like a terrible thing to say because it's sort of like
No, it's
if
a
I
real
have
silver
to go,
lining thing,
yeah, it
I
really
think.
is. Yeah, if I have to go to a funeral, at least somebody's gonna feed me, right?
You're like, yeah, at least there's some, at least I'm gonna have a hearty meal. That's so funny. In Ireland, they do the thing where you have like the body in someo's house.
Oh yeah,
So like my
that's
grandma.
like old school.
Yeah, it still
Is it
happens
bad?
that way.
I mean, like, is it like does it smell?
No, it's not. It's just like
they're embalmed. and
yeah, they
everything.
do everything like
Yeah.
you would do at a funeral
Yeah,
home, but just
oh.
like, and then they send the body. So they do that, and then they send the body to somebody's house
Wow.
for 3 days, and then you. So, like my grandma was at my Aunt Una's house, and then like people come and go for 3 days from like 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. any point.
Oh, so
and-
it's like sitting Shiva
Yeah,
almost.
sort of.
I mean, do you know what that is?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But shorter. It's only 3 days. It's
Okay,
not 7
yeah,
days. But
yeah.
yeah, so then you just like come and go, and they like
Yeah.
make a cup of tea, and you have sandwiches, and then they like tell stories about the deceased, and like sit in the room with the body, and then like it's hardcore, but
Yeah.
it's I think it's a really lovely
Yeah.
way to do it though.
Is get closure for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And we're in a bar. We got some
We
hooligans.
are in a bar
We're in a semi-secluded part of the bar.
in a sports town. People
in
are
a
rowdy.
sports town, and
Yeah.
people are rowdy. That
We get
is
it.
true.
We get it.
They say silly things that we would never say in America that I
Yeah.
would not know what they were saying if I went to Ireland.
Yeah, just the expressions are a bit. Yeah, like so a lot of the words are just different. Like
All right.
we say jumper instead of sweater. You know what I mean?
Oh,
so like
alright.
that's sort of like a mix up. We say chips for fries.
Right.
We say crisps for chips.
Yeah.
So that stuff. But then like my mom will say like when she'll be like if something's small, she'll say it's like only 2 hands higher than a duck.
I like that one.
Or like
That was a
they
good
say
one.
that I moved here when I was knee high to a duck.
Yeah.
Like it's just a lot of like duck measurements for whatever reason.
They got ducks out there?
Yeah, they've got some ducks.
Do they eat the ducks? I like eating ducks. Ducks is good eating.
They do eat the ducks. It's not as common. I'd say it's a lot of like beef,
Yeah.
a lot of lamb.
Yeah. A lot of lamb, like
Lot-
mutton and stuff.
Yeah, all sorts
Yeah.
of good stuff.
All right.
Yeah, a
I
lot
thi-
of Guinness. It's a lot of Guinness.
Are you a vegetarian?
I am a vegetarian.
All right. So you don't have to eat the.
I don't eat the mutton, no,
Yeah.
but I've heard it's. I've only been a vegetarian for like 8 or 9 years, so.
That's a long. That's a commitment.
Yeah,
It's a
I
long
guess
time.
so.
I mean, I was a vegetarian once for like 3 days.
Yeah?
It was
How'd it go?
wretched. I hated it. I was hungry the whole time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair. It's not for everybody, I will say. Though I personally do like it. Is weird when you go to like everywhere is becoming more vegetarian friendly, but like Ireland is particularly like now it's getting a lot vegetarian friendly, but it was
Yeah.
like for a long time they'd be like, "What do you mean you don't eat
Yeah. Yeah.
like meat?
Yeah,
Like,
what are
do
you,
mean?
crazy?
Well, do you eat fish? No. Well, do you eat chicken? No. Like, what about a turkey? No. Like,
what about a turkey?
yeah,
But
no.
it's meat.
Right, that's still meat. Like,
That's
you
funny.
know, just all
Yeah.
the-
Well, I
what
actually.
about a ham? No.
I was talking to a friend of mine, or like another cook today while I was working, and he said, "Would you count eggs? Like, do you eat eggs?
Yeah,
You do.
I eat eggs. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
How do you justify that as a vegetarian? You do it for pure dietary reasons, or do you have like moral blah blah?
I mean, I think morally, technically, I should be a vegan if I were going to.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no. I mean, eggs technically are just. It's going to be a gross statement, but they lay eggs regardless of whether or not they're fertilized. It's sort of like a chicken menstruating.
Well, right.
So it's not like would be a chicken. Like,
But
it
it
could be.
has all the chemical components
But it's
of
not
a
fertilized.
chicken,
But it's not
doesn't it?
fertilized.
All right.
It's like a chicken period essentially, and I feel
Alright.
fine about that. So long as the chickens
It
were
makes
treated
it
well.
worse for me calling it chicken period.
Okay, well it
I'm
makes it
just
better.
letting you know. This is my opinion.
Or so
from
now
from
you're
my
gonna stop
perspective.
eating eggs.
Oh no, I love eggs.
Yeah, I love eggs too.
I'm not big on eggs by themselves. Like that's fine in the morning sometimes, but I like to put eggs in other things.
What are
to
we
make-
eating, Scott? Because you're a fit man, and I'm always trying to be fitter.
Oh no,
Break it down for me.
I am I eat anything I want. I have no dietary restrictions. I eat a lot of Just everything that makes you fat, I eat it. I just exercise every single day.
For how long are we doing?
I do an hour yoga set with a meditation at the end.
Wow,
It's yoga.
It's yoga.
Yeah, I touch my toes and it hurts me like I went and lifted weights, except my muscles elongate instead of getting short and bulky.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm not that thin. I just hide my gut.
Impressive.
Just hide
Is
it
your
well.
back better now from yoga?
Yeah. I had a weird incident when I first came back home, which I think it was because of stress.
Yeah.
Just because I left Pennsylvania when I was 16, and I visited a couple times, but I never moved back.
Right.
So I moved back when I was about 30, and to my family, and I just think the whole thing was a bad idea, and I got super stressed out, and a disc just flew out.
Oh man.
And I mean, it was bad. I went to a chiropractor. He sent me to a doctor. They wanted to do back surgery on me and take out my disc and put in a block. But instead, I just got on a really heavy oxycodone regimen, and eventually it just went back in on itself. About
it was
2
like,
years.
Fine, I submit.
About 2 years later, and it just slid right back in, and then I just got off the painkillers and started back up with the yoga, and that's
amazing.
what I do. Yeah, I guess. It was a weird couple of years.
It sounds like. How long ago was that?
Oh. I mean, it went back in probably 2013.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I struggled with the painkiller addiction for a couple of years, but I've been doing good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
That's cool.
So I don't know. It's a weird. It's a weird experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you break it?
No, I don't know.
You just
it
stopped?
was the same disc that came out when I got hit by the car in Phoenix.
Oh wow.
I just kind of I was just stressed, and I guess I carry all my stress in my back, and eventually it was so much it was just like, guess what? You're broken.
Wow.
So yeah. And I don't talk about that in stand up yet, and I
Yeah.
should. Usually I just talk about sex and my mother.
Yeah.
In the same breath,
In
and
the same
people usually laugh.
That's funny.
And yeah.
That's cool. How do you come up with material?
It's
Like,
my
what's
life.
your process? You just
Oh.
Do you write beforehand, or do you riff?
It keeps changing. When I first started, it was super scary, and my mind goes blank when I'm stressed out. And have to talk in front. So I wrote everything down on cards and just read in front
cool.
of people for a year.
Yeah.
And then I quit using the cards, and I've been writing stuff down less now and recording it more when I do it. But I actually decided yesterday when I was at Walmart that I have to start writing it down and then delivering it without having the paper in front of me, and then record it. I have to do all three things, which I'm a super lazy guy. So for me, it's like a real internal struggle. Like, what do you mean I have to write it down and record it and do it without reading it? Like, are you crazy? And I'm like, shut up, inside voice. We're doing this,
We're doing this. That's so funny. You definitely don't seem lazy. I mean, you're teaching yoga.
Yeah.
You're doing all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Making it happen.
I don't know.
What made you wake up and be like, you know what? I'm going to do stand-up comedy.
Oh no, we already did this. My reference to Mark Twain.
You were just like, Mark Twain did it. I'm going to try to plug my book.
Yeah.
But that's a thought you have. But then to actually go and do it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I'm like that.
You just have a thought and you do it.
Well, I think about it for a
so
long
brave.
time. Do I need to do it? Is there a way I can talk myself out of it? Like, if I don't do it, what am I going to do instead?
Yeah.
And I've already churned out 3 full novels, completely
Amazing,
edited.
by the way.
Thank you. And I know what I'm doing for I know I'm going to write one story for the rest of my life now. This is going to take that long. And I'm going to section it out into 9 or 13 novels or somewhere in between there. And
Separate from the 3 you've already written?
No.
Oh.
It's a complete departure.
Oh, cool. So
Yeah.
just completely different.
Yeah, it's a science fiction series.
Cool.
Yeah, the first 3 is like a jumbled sort of myopic of my own experience.
Cool.
And the next 9 are just going to be I have a plan for humans to not only survive but thrive for the next 10,000 years, which sounds crazy. So I'm going to write down the book, and then you can call me crazy after I'm dead, because that's the only time anybody's probably going to read anything I write.
I'm going to read them. That's like Star Wars style, right? It was like 3 that he did, like a 9-part story.
Star Wars.
Are you going to start in the middle, like George Lucas did?
He didn't. That's just where the movies started. I'm pretty
true.
sure that, I don't know.
I think he had the whole thing, but he was
oh.
smart to start with.
I'm going to be like 80 by the time I have all my books done. I mean, just that series.
That's so cool. So you think your plan is to keep doing, you think you'll always be writing and doing stand-up, hand in hand sort of thing?
No, I've actually haven't written much other than jokes since I started stand-up. It's taken a lot of my time and energy because I can't do. I try to do a lot, but eventually you have to pare down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm hoping to do is get into movies, make 1 or 2 movies, sell my books, get back to writing. I'll probably get back to writing before then. But right now I'm writing a movie.
Cool.
Which actually has great female characters in it, which I'm really excited about. I think I gave them the best lines.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's so cool. You write all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Do you write every day?
No. I'm not one of those guys. I really think it makes you a worse writer to write every day. Yeah, because if you just don't have it in you that day, and if you force yourself, not only is that, it's just going to be a bad experience. It's like trying to masturbate when you're not aroused.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
I am having this orgasm today.
Right?
Yeah.
Have you ever done that? No. Have you ever sat there and been like, we have nothing better to do, let's just do this?
No, I have not.
Oh, well, you're obviously not a man then, because we all absolutely have.
Well, today's the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Every day's the day.
Every
day's the day. This is how many times will I abuse myself today? And I have a lot of masturbation jokes, actually.
That's so funny.
Did you delve into masturbation at all?
In my lifetime?
Well, I mean, as a comedian, as a subject. I'm not asking.
No, I haven't talked about it on stage.
All right. I mean, I think it's a funny
I think it's very
place to
funny too. I haven't gotten too much into sexy stuff on stage.
Well, that's good though, because I think it's a lot easier to do than to make people laugh otherwise. So if you're starting at what you're doing is more challenging.
Interesting.
Is what I'm saying.
I think it's just more yeah.
You're embarrassed?
Not embarrassed, but just
uncomfortable.
No, I guess it's not what I would talk about to a room full of strangers about.
Right.
Yeah, I guess that I am uncomfortable.
Yeah, no, that's legitimate.
Or if my parents were at a show, I don't know. I already talking about all the gay stuff. I'm like, oh god, when my parents are there, I'm like, oh no. But it's fine, obviously. But
right on.
I guess, there's a lot of uncharted territory. Obviously, I haven't been doing it for very long.
No, but that's great. That gives you a lot of stuff to explore in the future, if you would.
I'm going to go to Hambones next week and talk about masturbation. A new goal.
Wait, you don't find it uncomfortable to talk about your sexual orientation, though? I mean, that's
No.
No? Because that's super personal and explores the same general areas, right?
I guess so. It is weird, because, when you tell people you're gay,
they're thinking
think
about
of it
the
sexually,
sex. Yeah.
It's sort of I have sex with women to people.
Right.
Yeah. But there's really no way to not talk about it, I guess. If I just... Yeah, I don't know. I guess I talk about my relationships and, coming out was, a big thing. And
yeah.
I guess it is sort of in the same realm.
I have to be.
I do have, 2 jokes about, a dick.
Yeah.
But... That's as risque as I've really got.
How old were you when you realized that you were lesbian?
I was I don't know, 2nd grade probably.
Yeah.
Whenever you start having a crush, I was
right.
we were making Valentines in 2nd grade or whatever, and then I wanted to give mine to this girl.
So do you have any penis experience?
I have slept with a dude.
A dude?
Or 2.
Not your cup of tea?
No. Because I realized when I was really little that I was gay, but I I don't even think I knew that that's what it was. You know what I mean? I was just I love women. Women, I just, I want to spend all my time with women. And you get it.
Yeah.
Right? And you figured that out early, probably. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I saw boobies when I was a little kid. I was like, yeah.
That's the
stuff.
That's
nice.
but I didn't really put it together until like, and then like again when I was like 11, I was like, oh, and then again when I was like in college, I was like, oh, so I just kept being like, no, I'm not gay, surely not, you know. I just for whatever reason was slow on the uptake with that one.
Right.
And then I came out when I was 22, so that was when I was like, I was like, oh yeah, because like it's a weird thing because like you've thought about it for a long time, but like you can't untell people that you're gay. So it's like you really don't want to tell them until you're sure.
Right.
So that was like when I was like, okay.
Yeah.
This is just gonna be.
It's a very coming of age moment that heterosexuals don't experience.
Right.
So I mean, what was that experience like to tell your parents like?
It's
oh
weird because it is like a sexual thing you're saying. Like,
right.
It's like here's what I'm into sexually, Mom.
Right.
Just like that I wouldn't have to have had that. And it's not like you don't come out to one person. You're constantly coming out like all the time. And it's like strangers, you know, they'll be like, is that your boyfriend or whatever? And it's like, do I not tell you? Like it doesn't matter. Like,
do you feel compelled to tell strangers the truth about yourself? If they ask?
Sometimes. I mean, I feel like because there are a lot of people who still have a problem with gay people.
Really?
And,
Really?
Yeah. And I'm, like, relatively friendly and non-threatening,
yeah.
I think. Like,
no, you're great. I love hanging out with you.
Yeah, I love hanging out with
fun.
you. But so, like, I think for me it's like, well, this is an opportunity to be like, hey, look, I'm, like, a friendly person who you like who is also, like, who's also gay. because for me it's like if I can help like another person in their life who's gay who maybe they're like you know like it's like for me I sort of feel like obligated to tell people not like randomly, not like, hey stranger, how you doing today? That's what I do on my free time. But I try to be as open about it as I can be in case it does end up helping somebody else.
I think that's why I like to talk about masturbation on stage, to air out my heterosexuality.
Yeah, just FYI. Well, gay people masturbate too.
It's good to know. I mean, everybody should. It's a healthy thing to do.
It's good to know. It's the best response.
Is it?
It's good to know. I think everybody does. Everyone should.
I think women are more sexually repressed generally in this culture than men, and I worry that they're not masturbating.
Oh, no, I think they are. I think they just don't talk about it as much.
I've always suspected that.
Yeah.
You know? Girls would make fun of you in high school, you know, and you're like, you do it too.
Yeah.
You just don't do it as often.
If you don't, you know, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah, you're missing out on like
get to know yourself,
right?
Ladies, this is a public service announcement for the ladies
and the dudes too. Are you home alone on a Saturday night? Make the most of it.
Yeah.
Order a pizza, light a candle,
bubble bath, right? You know, you're number one. Yeah.
Sure.
It is coming out to my parents was weird. But they were very supportive. My mom was like a little, at first she was just like surprised because it's weird because I'd been thinking about it for a long time.
Yeah.
And she was like, to her, it was like, what? This is new information.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh really? I've been thinking about it for 18 years
right.
or whatever. But like.
What were your expectations of their reaction?
I think I just hoped that they would love me still. And
were you worried that they wouldn't?
Yeah, it's scary coming out because it's like there's this thing about me that has always been true, and it's like nothing is different really. It's just like news to you. But yeah, I was worried, I guess, somehow that they would. I mean, my parents were lovely about it, and a lot of people's parents aren't. Like I was very lucky. My parents were like, okay,
that's fantastic.
And eventually, like my mom had like at first was just like surprised, I guess, and then she came around.
Yeah.
But like a lot of kids get kicked out of their homes, and like like a lot of people aren't so cool about it. So and it's like it's scary to be like to think something you could tell someone who loves you that's just like true about you that could like change their perception of you or like make them like you less. I was just worried about disappointing them because I really love my parents and I wouldn't want to do anything that would like make them like hurt or embarrassed or anything. So like that was my big concern. I was like,
right on.
Yeah, I had a lot of shame about it at the beginning, and now I'm like, hey.
I used to have shame about my masturbation.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
I don't anymore.
Good. That's why you talk about it on stage.
That's why I talk about it on
stage. Just
let
the people know.
Yeah. I mean, so no, I'm just thinking about my. I don't know. I have some self-disgust, and it's part of me.
I think that's what makes a comedian. If I'm honest, I think a lot of that comes from.
Right on. Do you have upcoming shows? Anything upcoming?
The Hurry Up and Say Something Funny is on the 18th.
Awesome.
The Club Cafe show's on the 26th.
Hey, all right. Club Cafe's on the 26th. At what time?
At 10:30 p.m.
All right. And what was the...
Hurry Up, Say Something Funny. I
Where
think
is that
that's
at?
at 8. It's at Apis Mead and Winery.
Okay.
APIS.
Okay.
I've only seen it written. You know, I've
Yeah.
never heard it pronounced.
No, that's...
So,
take a guess.
Yeah.
Apis...
yeah, if you want to see me get heckled or heckle me, come to that show on the 18th.
Would you send me a reminder? I will come
You're
and
gonna come heckle the shit out of me.
Yeah, well, I'm
I
mean,
need
and
it.
you don't know
I
how to
need
do
it.
it,
Yeah.
so I'll come and be mean to you.
It'll be like a real Yoda moment.
Oh, no, you may not speak to me again after that.
Well, that's okay. We'll always have this memory.
Yeah, and it'll be recorded
Yeah.
for posterity. So you have those two shows. Is that
Yeah.
that's all you're doing? Like just
Those
two
are the two
shows,
I can-
and then you did one or two before this podcast this month.
Yeah, I had I opened for Cameron Esposito.
Oh yeah, we were gonna talk about it.
yeah.
Hurry up, we have 3 minutes. Talk,
Okay.
talk. Cameron
that
Esposito.
was really cool. I opened for her. She was really a very nice, gracious person, and
Yeah.
I opened for her in Pittsburgh on Wednesday, and then she asked me to open for her again on Thursday in
That's amazing.
New Cumbersburg.
Okay,
Newcomers.
yeah. I mean, I
By
know her
Harrisburg.
from the Marin show.
Yeah.
And she's a stand-up, and she's
she's
that's
so
awesome.
funny, and she was so nice and like very gracious the whole time. So that was a cool experience.
Yeah,
So
so
cool, and then-
basically you're barely getting booked on anything these days.
Yeah.
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 I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Sarcasm.
barely. Yeah. You know, times can be hard. Bit of a dry spell right now. No, it's an embarrassment of riches right now. But so I'm just soaking it up before the other shoe drops.
Hey, it might not. It might not drop.
Yeah.
So ride
But
it out.
Yeah, I feel like it's already been such a great ride. This is enough. It's been enough. I'm
No.
good. Yeah.
No, it's
What about
never
you?
enough.
Anything coming up?
Oh God, no! I'm doing this, and this is like my second to last episode of Scotty Presents right now.
What an honor to be on it.
Yeah, no, and I'm so happy to have you here. Like I definitely had you on my short list. I'm embarrassed
Yay.
it took me so long, but you've been in so much. I kept seeing you on the Facebook feed. I was like, I wonder if Helen would come and do my show.
Absolutely.
So, do you have a Facebook handle?
I do. I've just made a Facebook page, which is embarrassing, called Helen Wildy Comedy.
All right.
And then I'm at How the Helen, which I like to tell people that I made up when I was little, but Instagram hasn't been around for very long, and I'm 32. So I made it up very recently.
All right.
Yeah. So
All
find
right.
me there if you like. People, thanks for listening.
It's fantastic. I always like reading your feed. So, all right. I don't know where Todd went to.
Todd's right there.
Todd, we're going to end this thing. You've been listening to Scotty Presents on idiotradio.net. I'm your host, Scott Israel. Todd DeFazio is my producer, and I've been talking with special guest Helen Wildy. Helen, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having.
All right. Later.
Scotty. Scotty presents.